Hello and welcome to BS with Becca. As usual, I'm going to tell you BS isn't what you think it means, but today we're going to expand it a little bit. BSNR. Be spiritual, not religious. Now, why do I say this? First of all, I'm sure you've all heard it many times. Maybe you've even said it yourself that you feel that you're spiritual, but you are a little bit hesitant to get involved with religion. But I thought it might be interesting for you to hear why and how religion developed. I want to tell you about a book. The theory is from a man named James Frazer, who wrote a book called The Golden Bough, in which he talks about the many various religious beliefs around the world from way back from the beginning of time. And he makes a really interesting theory. He says that if you think about it, when we first came out of the caves, so this isn't our hunter-gatherer days, when we finally settled and began farming, and maybe perhaps what began to happen, at that point, everybody was just a farmer. There was no politics yet. Think how lovely that would be. No religion, no hierarchy. Everybody was a farmer. And someone maybe from another valley might come over to your valley and say, hey, look, I have this idea. I have this idea that maybe let's make a fire tonight and we'll cook a goat over it. And if you'll bring me a sack of potatoes to help, we'll make a meal. And the smell of the goat will rise up to the air and that will affect the crops and we'll have better weather this season. And then the person made the fire. And let's say that the crop still failed. The rain didn't come when it needed to. Well, that person would then say to his friends, oh, well, shoot, it was a black goat. Next spring, we'll do a white goat. And then the next spring, they do a white goat. And sure enough, great weather that year. They're not aware that the weather is random. So they're thinking the white goat actually affected it. But then the next year after that, there's a plague of, they do it again with the white goat because the white goat worked. There's a plague of locusts, eats all the crops before the weather's better, but the locusts are bad. Now, out of this, two things are going to happen. They're going to be the type of person who was the one to think originally to do the fire with the hopes of changing, somehow affecting the weather by sacrificing the goat. They're either going to be an honest person or a not so honest person. So let's start first with the honest person. The honest person genuinely is going to think that when they switched to the white goat that second year, it actually did make a difference, but won't be able to understand why the third year they used the white goat again and it didn't work. So they have no excuse for it and they can't explain it to their neighbors, and all their neighbors are mad at them because you promised us that white goat was going to make the weather better. So they give up. They quit trying. They go out of business. They don't make another fire the fourth year. They have no idea. Who does go ahead and make a fire the fourth year? The person who knows they're lying. And they don't care that they're lying because they want to keep having this. They want this position of not having to farm anymore. They can just be the one who every year does the sacrifice of the goat. And then that way they can quit farming and just get some food, get crops, make everybody pay them in crops. So they lie. And the third year when it doesn't work, in the fourth year they say, oh, that was because, yeah, we used a white goat, but the wood that we used to burn the fire, we used oak instead of maple. So if we use maple this year, it'll definitely work. And then even when the maple doesn't work, then they have another reason. So they realize that they're lying, but it doesn't bother them. Every year they just keep making up new lies. Now, you're putting this all together in your mind. You're smart. My audience is smart. I know you are. You're already putting this together in your mind. James Frazer's theory is that is how priests developed. Because obviously over time we figured out we couldn't control the weather. We tried to control other things. So we thought that we could get the gods to favor us with, lots of riches or children or whatever. And so people started doing all kinds of sacrifices, not just goats, but bulls, even people, virgins, right? Children, we hear horrible stories about the sacrifices people did because they really thought they were somehow going to change the minds of those gods. Now, in the beginning, they just thought they were going to affect the weather. But eventually a whole idea of God's developed kind of through this idea that there's something up there behind those clouds that's manipulating the world, and it must be a human-like figure, because that was the highest level of intelligence on earth that we knew. So the gods, the best thing we could think of was to make gods that were like human beings. So they would also have jealousies, they would have wives, they would have all this stuff. So then this whole religion developed around that. Well, guess what? In a way, what Frazer argues, or what I'm going to try to argue here, is way too many priests. Now, I don't want to say all of them, but way too many priests and way too many religions telling people, if you will simply do the right thing, the gods will reward you. And so now let's just fast forward up to Christianity. And as much as I think there are plenty of wonderful people in Christianity, I do think that we still have that exact same mentality from farmers' days. But we don't sacrifice the goats anymore. But what we do now is we just think, oh, if I just believe hard enough and I just pray hard enough, I am going to convince God to like me, and then God will get me that new job. God will get me that better car. God will get me that better house. God will get me that handsome husband. So it's almost like we turn God into a vending machine, and we think that if I can just put enough coins in there, my coins being my prayers, my how many times I go to Sunday school, how many times I read the Bible, we always have a list of things we think if we just do them, we're going to get God to like us, and then God's going to do for us what we want. And so we keep sticking those coins in that God, in the big vending machine that is God, hoping that eventually those Reese cups in D3 are going to drop down for us, or that new car, or that job, or that husband. So listen to what this means. That religion, again, not for everyone, but in general, because we're human beings, has tended to turn into a business transaction between us and God. Look, God, if I just do enough prayers for you, it's my white goat. If I just do enough prayers for you, you're going to do this for me. That's a deal. That is not love of God. It's a business transaction between me and God. Tit for tat, right? I do this, you do that. So we're actually reducing our relationship with God to an exchange. And the worst thing for me, what worries me, again, many people do not do this, don't get me wrong, but there are some that do. Let's say I go out and I see a homeless man on the street. I give him money, but I do it because I want either God or my neighbor to see me, to get points. I have just made that homeless person a tool for me to try and get points with God, because I'm seeing this whole thing as a business transaction. I have to earn points with God. I got to stick those coins in God, the big vending machine that is God, and get my prize. Anytime you're making an offering to God in order to get something from God, it actually isn't real relationship God anymore. It's a business transaction. So in other words, religion is just kind of a business transaction. And like I said, the people who lead it, sometimes, again, there are plenty of great pastors. There are plenty of great Buddhist priests. There are plenty of great Muslim imams. There are plenty of great Jewish rabbis that aren't like this. But some do continue to encourage us in this way of thinking. I think particularly of Christians who talk about the prosperity gospel. If you'll just pray hard enough and give enough money to my congregation, God is going to bless you with success. That right there is a business transaction. So it's changing religion into a form of a market. All right, now here's really where I want you to understand a specific spirituality that can get us away from this viewing God, or viewing our relationship with God, the creator of the universe, how to improve that relationship without reducing it to a transaction. This is the one thing that I really do believe that Jesus contributed to our understanding as human beings about our relationship with God. Jesus got this idea from the Hebrew scriptures, from the teaching of the rabbis and the synagogues where he would have studied as a child. So it wasn't a new idea. He just made it come, he crystallized it, he explained it so well. Because what he said was, you are already loved by God. You don't have to do anything to convince God to care for you. You don't have to win God's favor with sacrifices and offerings and this type of behavior, that type of ritual, whatever. You already have God behind you. It's like God is the ultimate pay it forwarder. God already paid it forward when God gave you this life on this gorgeous planet in this spectacular universe. And you now can simply believe that God already, the creator of the universe, already cares about you. That simple act of creating you and putting you on this earth in a completely unique, no one has ever had your fingerprints, no one's ever thought like you, no, this beautiful creation that God has made. Here, I'm going to give you a bouquet of flowers just to help you understand. God, when you were born, already knew what you were going to be like and how great you were going to be. And I'm not saying this as some kind of sentimental romanticism. The real depth of spirituality comes when we understand we are already loved. And I think this is one of the reasons why we all love going out in nature so much, because nature, when we go out into nature, we see all this beauty around us. And it's like this gorgeous bouquet that the creator of the world is handing to us. It's the best Valentine's Day bouquet that someone has ever given to another person that they loved. And it's God's gift to you, to all of us, this beautiful universe. Go outside and see the beauty of creation. If you can, go out at night and see the stars and see it as this gift that God has given you, because God already loves you. You don't have to do anything to earn that. In other words, now God's already paid it forward to you with this gift, first of all, of this incredible universe, and then of your life as you uniquely you. Now you just get to pay it forward to others. Go and care for others in that same way. This is what Jesus was saying. Because you already know God's love, you now have the strength and the backing and the support and the understanding that you should also simply go out and love others. And just in the same way that God still loves me, even when I'm a crappy person, I gossip, I cheat, I lie, I steal, I do all the things I'm not, well, not all of them, and not all the time, but I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect, but God still loves me. I don't have to do better in order to get God to love me. Instead, and this is a much better reason to do it, I try not to lie. I try not to cheat. I try not to steal, because God already loves me. Because I see how good that feels to have a God who loves me unconditionally, that I then want to love other people like that unconditionally. So that then when they do the lying, cheating, or stealing, not that I don't hold people to standards. Jesus held people to standards and demanded morality and ethics, but at the same time, he said, you still love people, even if you don't like what they do. But you're able to love like that because you're already loved. That's spirituality, without reducing it to this ritualized religion. So once again, I'd like to show you these beautiful flowers. If we weren't in a virtual world, I'd give them to you, although I'd have to stay 6 feet away. But I just hope that you will really hear this, the difference between having a relationship with our Creator based on transaction, making a deal, versus knowing that relationship is already there. And having that grounding, there's no limit to what you can do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on my next installment of BS with Becca. Have a great day.